Sometimes good enough is just good enough.
Action.
All right, ready to roll?
Let's do it.
Sound good? I think mine sound decent.
Sounds great.
Decent. All right, good. All right, guys, welcome back to Silver Bullet Podcast. James here with me, Colton, your guys' host. I want to say we're getting close to 30 podcasts.
I think I looked out there. I don't know what recording this is, but you had 25 written on the board.
So this would be, we're somewhere in there. We're sneak attacking in, kind of getting our legs wet and this kind of stuff. Today, kind of inspired by a conversation that I had with somebody as far as mistakes, common mistakes we see. So you and I, collectively, I don't know how long you've been in this space. I mean, we're a couple decades worth of experience here. What do we see as some of the biggest mistakes that people make on a day in, day out basis? And so James and I kind of, it's such a vague question.
Right.
Like the biggest mistakes we make, like what do you mean? Like actual, like physical mistakes? We talking mental mistakes? We talking habitual mistake? Like what are we talking about? So
how do you screw up?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we it's very easy to screw up, but what is the thing? What is the screw up that is causing problems?
What are the commonalities?
Yeah, so we decided when we were talking with each other, we would go about it from a couple different perspectives, because we see there are plenty of things, and there are plenty of things that we struggled with ourselves at the beginning. That's probably the first thing that we need to mention here, is that everything that we're going to talk about, we probably have experienced ourselves in some way or fashion. Like we had to at least overcome it or battle those demons as well. Like we're not saints here by any means, but with time comes experience. Okay, or maybe wisdom, if you're going to call it that. But James's 5 that he came up with, a little bit more on the cultural mindset. And it's not necessarily more of a mental toughness thing as much as it is a paradigm shift or a navigation through really terrible information that we've been given.
For sure. Right?
That's led to mistakes or led to actions that cause mistakes. Mine, on the other hand, is a little bit more just straight mental problems. And it's going to be cut and dry. Mine are, but we'll be able to expand upon it.
This is just where we're at, like in our current season with our careers here at Acclaim. You work much more directly coaching the individuals, so that's where your frame is coming from. And mine, we're post-COVID, we're revamping our message and some stuff on our website a little bit, and I'm just thinking like, all right, the next 5-10 years with the business, who do we want to reach? What do we want our mission and our message to be? And so it was pretty easy for me to come up with this list, but that's just where my mind's at. It's not necessarily in the coaching aspect of it.
Right. So we're going to go through each other's. I think we'll go through all 5 straight. That way we don't bounce back and forth and make it confusing.
Sure.
So we're going to go about it from this perspective. Okay. We're people. We are a generation. We are a peoples that are trying to lose weight. We're trying to lose body fat. We're trying to become a little bit more healthier. Health and body fat loss aren't necessarily, equally, not synonymous. I mean, just because you lose body fat doesn't mean you gain health, but there's a pretty damn strong correlation that if you are somebody who is overweight, you lose a little bit of body fat, you increase your health.
For sure.
So this is kind of where we're at, because the last thing that you want to do is work extremely hard and not be able to reap the rewards. So this is our message to you.
Right. I think one thing, and this is kind of a challenge, and to get individuals thinking, but I was thinking about this when I was writing this. If we wouldn't be able to serve an overweight or an obese population, if there were no overweight individuals in the United States, could and would Reclaim still exist?
Nope, I wouldn't have a job.
Yeah. So we have to understand that, that's a majority of the individuals that are more than likely coming in here. But I do think once individuals reach a specific place, there's nothing wrong with prevention.
No.
And that's just where the message has to shift.
For sure. All right. So speaking of shifting messages, let's go ahead and get into your top 5 mistakes that we are, or at least top 5 mistakes that we commonly see.
Right.
With people trying to lose weight.
Yeah. Again, I'm talking like as a whole here. If you fall into this and you're like, yeah, I've been in those shoes. I've been in these shoes too. Or as far as like thinking in this way. So mine are more of a challenge of what we see day in and day out, week in and week out, and kind of how to like hopefully flip that script in time. But a big view that a lot of individuals bring in here is that their body is something that they need to fix instead of it being something to take care of and to nurture. We have one body to take care of, and it is our responsibility. So the question for us as coaches to that individual, well, what has led you to this place that you want to change? Because if we don't focus on those things first, we're not going to get anywhere.
So somebody comes in and says, I'm broken, essentially. So, culturally, we see, I think social media is the worst thing in the world as far as, creating an envious mind. I don't look this way, therefore it needs to be fixed, or I'm not, worthy of something. That's getting a little bit deep, but you assume that this is just something that's not supposed to be that way, and then society tells me it needs to be changed. Right. That's why I'm here. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a mistake that you are making.
For sure.
Okay, you definitely shouldn't be thinking about that. But it seems so. I mean, honestly, that's probably. Is that number one?
Yeah, well, we think of the symptom. Like if I need to lose weight, or if the individual coming in needs to lose weight, like that's the. Just being transparent here, that's the obvious thing, but what has caused you to gain the weight?
Yeah.
How do we make sure that doesn't happen again? So your body isn't the thing that really needs fixed.
Right.
The root cause, the issue is what needs fixed.
Your body is the result of a something.
Poor decisions or whatever.
Poor decision, lack of stability, lack of preparation. The gym is just an outlet for burning calories, but if the calories keep coming in, doesn't matter.
Right.
We'll get into that with some of mine.
Right.
So that's a pretty good one, though. I like that because that is a cultural mindset, it seems. Okay, unless you have a six-pack, unless you, what's another stupid one? Have the little V lines there as far as your hips go. Worthy of praise is not to come.
Right.
So I need to fix. It's like that's it. It's so silly.
Sure.
That's a really good one.
That flows into then the second thing, in my opinion. Then, because the body is something that needs fixed, we view exercise as a punishment. Exercise is bad.
That's probably. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, for sure, and it just can't be that way. Look, there are plenty of times, we were just talking about it. Today was a day I did not want to exercise, but I don't ever view exercise as something that's like that I'm not going to get some sort of benefit from. And so we have to change that lens. We have to have a different framework of thinking about it. Because if you don't view this as something that's beneficial, we challenge our members all the time. What happens when you reach your goal? Are you just going to be done exercising?
Yeah.
Is this no longer good for you because you've lost weight?
I think the idea that exercise is beneficial is known by people. That's why they think that if I do something bad, I'll do something beneficial. It cancels out, right? I'm going to work my brains out on this workout, so that way I can go have margaritas with my girls later. That is looking at that. Yeah, that's looking at exercise as a punishment, or vice versa. Night before I had all my. You get what I'm getting at. Okay, you don't punish yourself for your behavior. Okay, this is, if anything, this is a reward to your body's capabilities.
For sure.
In a preventative way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's the last thing that I put. It should be, it's a blessing for us to be able to move our body.
It's a celebration.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. Today, ironically, on the board is probably one of the hardest workouts that we've had from a conditioning standpoint.
Right.
Nobody was going through there thinking, oh, this is such a celebratory moment. Mm-hmm. No.
For sure.
That's hard.
Yeah.
It's stupid hard, and your brain will give you every excuse in the book to get you to stop, because your brain is the key to all of the potential you could possibly have.
Right.
But it is going to lock that thing up if there's even a chance that it'll get you to stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll get into a couple of mine as well, but it's not a glamorous thing. It is celebratory that your body has the capability to do those things, but man, it is such a mistake in my mind to treat your body as if it is a something that just needs punishment based on decisions that you made. Okay, you made specific decisions from a intellectual standpoint, and now you are physically going to punish your mentals because of it.
Right.
It doesn't seem to make a ton of sense.
Sure. Well, I mean, I've been exercising. I've been lifting weights for a long time now, and it gets after a while, it gets boring, it gets monotonous, and like there's seasons where you just don't want to do it. But I do it because, again, I know the reward from it, I know the benefit of it, and it's just that's when like discipline has to take over.
I think you know, looking back, like where that could be, derived at would probably be like high school sports.
For sure.
Like everybody on the line.
Yeah.
Like we screwed up, everybody on the line. And, it's punishment to do running or whatnot. Nobody who has sat there and ran 1,000-yard sprints is sitting there thinking, man, what a celebration of my body, right? Nobody thinks that, right? But we are a slightly different demographic here.
That's a great point. Sorry, you go ahead. Got to keep my wheels turning.
Well, I just think that you start to look at all these things of how we got to some place. It started somewhere, right? I don't necessarily know that there are people on social media that just show off how terrible their workouts are just for the sake of them being terrible, right? There's some advantage to it.
Sure.
It's not so you can have Michelob Ultra like the commercial shows, like you get a hard workout, have a Michelob Ultra. It's just I don't know, kind of a weird thing to ponder.
Like, so discipline is a good thing. It is a beneficial thing. So like, we bring up high school sports and like being punished essentially for, I don't know, let's say you were running your mouth to the referee or whatever. So now the whole team has to run, well, some of us have been in that situation. So we've,
I feel like it's a personal story. We need
a little bit, another podcast. Now the team has to suffer. There is discipline there, but hopefully the point of that is so you don't do it again. Right. Because you had to suffer through that. So what individuals aren't learning through their own punishment is that, hey, that weekend before when I made these poor choices, treating your fitness as the punishment, that doesn't work.
I really need a psychologist to chime in on this, but I believe it was Freud that wrote something that people from a narcissistic standpoint would repeat offenses even though they knew it would bring them harm, so that way they could perfect it. That way they could perfect their body's rationale with that crime. And so that makes me think of like people who would just continually, I'm going to drink a bunch of beer before I go work out tomorrow, or I'm going to work out tomorrow before I drink a bunch of beer, just to completely rationalize that weird little cyclical manner. If anybody out there is a psychologist, I need some help on that one, but I'm pretty sure that's somewhere in the ballpark. Maybe it was somebody else. Maybe it wasn't Freud, but anywho, so that's a really good one. Definitely a huge mistake that I definitely have seen. And people will willingly tell you, like, it's like, I got a bachelorette party this weekend. We got to hit it hard. It's like, why?
You probably shouldn't be here. Just go home and drink water.
All right, so number 3, does that segue into number 3?
It does. Again, culturally, we've used exercise as like the means for you to reach your specific whatever, and it's not to say that it can't be a part of it, but like we've said this since day one with the beginning of Reclaim. Exercise alone is not going to help you reach your goal. And even more so now, like when we have individuals coming in, and this is, for us, it's part of kind of revamping our services always so we can make them better. A lot of times when individuals come in here, exercise might be the last thing you need. You might just need some health coaching, lifestyle coaching, one-on-one
that goes back
nutrition
to
coaching.
The thing that people come in, they think they need fixed, and exercise holds the key to that. It's like, not really. Not really. We're just, we'll teach you how to squat and burn calories, but like, that's what exercise is. Exercise doesn't negate decision making and habits.
And hopefully this is not taken the wrong way, but it is what it is. When a doctor prescribes you to move more or to exercise, you go in with the mindset thinking, well, this is going to fix all of my problems. Like, Well, it can help. It can be a part of it, but how about we tweak what you're eating outside of here?
You can't re-inoculate the problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's I can't think of a good analogy right off the top of my head, but it is creating a problem and then creating your own solution. But just before the solution is finalized, just start the problem back up again, just to make sure it still works. So, I think that especially at the beginning of the year. Like, I hate the beginning of the year. And I know you do too. Whereas most of the people in the fitness industry, like, the beginning of the year is a financial boom for people. People are motivated. They want to come do things. Motivation wears off, and then you lose a space in your gym. Okay. Good chance you didn't gain somebody that was of extreme value to your business. So it's one of those things that we try to navigate the muddy waters of people like, hey, when you come in, you're wanting a fitness membership. Let me tell you how we're actually going to fix this. It has nothing to do with fitness.
Right.
And that kind of wards people off. So, we don't, we don't necessarily do great as a business of just bringing in brand new people in January.
No.
Just we pick up people that truly want to be helped throughout the year. But to get, back on point here, that's the conversation that happens with us most of the time.
Right.
Okay. It is, tell me what you do. Tell me what you're wanting to see. Let me point out the red flags already. Let's develop a game plan to get rid of it. People will pay money for that if you have the word doctor in front of your name and take it as very liable and truthful information. It's the same thing if you can find a coach that can tell you lifestyle habits that are causing all of the problems that you're having, especially if they're easy ones to fix. Everybody has a condition or a situation that is probably not solved by any one person, but we got a pretty big network of people that understand how the body works. Right.
For sure.
So
we have a very solid coaching staff here, and we're only going to continue to get better as we develop that. But it's so
it's not even coaches here. It's people. It's fitness coaches. They're getting smarter.
Yeah.
We're taking over more and more. I don't say taking over. We are immersing ourselves more into the healthcare prevention mode than we are just the exercise mode.
It's very difficult to explain. And this right here, this is probably a great podcast for our current members and then those considering coming into Reclaim. This might be a good way to educate how we're tweaking things for the website. It's extremely difficult for me to articulate like what we do. It really is. Do we operate a fitness facility? Yes, for sure. But there's just so much more that goes into it than that. You're not going to come in here and just exercise. And then the flip side of that, the pressure that we have, there are a lot of things that we can't say. There are a lot of things we can't do because of the pushback we're going to have as far as legality and everything else. I'm not going to say whether it's right or wrong, but I do know for certain there are many ways we can help individuals achieve what it is that they want by the route that we take, and it may not be the advice that is going to be common and cultural currently.
Yeah.
So
that's a funny way of saying you have somebody with a white coat tell you to do something. We're probably going to tell you to do something else.
Right.
And it's going to be cheaper. But that's the thing, is that is more of the fitness space now. I really do believe that there are more people in this fitness space that aren't just getting into it to have a badass gym and sweat and work out and have cool people. Like, people are really trying to make other people healthy. And it's starting with a different approach kind of like this. Don't get me wrong. You're going to have plenty of gyms that are out there just to let you come in whenever the hell you want, hop on their equipment, and leave, right?
Yeah.
Some people find really sustainable results that way. Most don't.
For sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
And there's people at our gym that, take our business for just what it's worth as exercise ability. They come in to exercise and that's it.
Right.
And, if those people are happy to be here, I'm happy for them.
For sure.
But there are people in here that realize 2-3 years into it that wasn't the answer. I just got done working with a 65-year-old woman on nutrition. We weren't trying to turn her into a bikini model, but she said, I just can't believe that all this time and all the stuff that I've done and all the pain that I've gone through and all this stuff, it literally came down to the food. No, we say that all the time.
Yeah, we've been saying that.
We say it all the time. It's just
Right.
just everybody comes to that point in their life just a little bit differently than other people. So,
well, I think we humans, like people, they want to. Number one, individuals are very intelligent. I don't want to take that away from them. They want to try to figure things out on their own.
We're not,
and I love that.
We're dumb. We are all dumb.
Yeah.
Oh my gracious.
And they continue to try and try and try, and we found the ones who are finally like, all right, I'm done trying. Like let's invest this money right now. And let's figure this thing out.
That's the word though. It's invest. It's all investment. So okay. So what was that? Number 3 or is that number 4?
That was the third one.
Hit me 4.
The next thing. This is and I get it because of social media and because it helps leverage business. And we like to identify with the individuals who are just out there getting it and they're performing or they look a certain way or whatever. I'm not taking anything away from that. Okay, I've been there. I've been in that season of competing. It's great. I love it, but there isn't a lot of space for the individuals who are just wanting to occupy maintenance and prevention. I mean, and unrealistically, that's where I'm at in my life. I just want to live a healthy life. I want to be able to continue on. I want to wake up the next day with energy I don't have right now. Take care of my family, lead my children, and just be a good example for the business and in my community. We should lift those individuals up. We should not
normalize
put them on a pedestal. Yeah, but give them more of a space. Right.
Yeah.
They should be the ones that were look, it's okay to be right here because more than likely this is going to be the majority anyway, or what it should be.
Sure.
Yeah.
There are people out there, like I said a second ago or whatever, who are well known for aesthetics, creating programs for aesthetics, creating programs that are just, in their words, badass. I mean, they're just hard, they're grind, and certainly you're going to find some benefit with those people. And there is a space, like you said, there's a certain amount of people that are drawn to that. There's a demographic that fits. That is far, far inferior to the graphic that just wants to be healthy enough to pick up their grandkids.
Right.
Just healthy enough to get up and get all of their high schoolers out the door, get them to school, and then they go work their 410s or whatnot and be able to come back, be able to put dinner on the table and be healthy about it. That is a much bigger demographic that we are trying to fit. Does that mean that those people who are into the other thing are wrong? Absolutely not.
Right.
There are still people who work 410s, have 3 kids, and are on the Team USA weightlifting masters team. It's all different for different people, but even that person is in a very small minority group compared to the other groups that we just mentioned. And we've had a couple of different situations arise where even members of ours wish that was a normalized thing on social media. I wish that we could see more people just trying to focus on being healthy rather than being skinny, or have energy instead of squatting 500 pounds. There are some people that just want to be able to sleep 8 hours a day rather than do a sub 2-minute Fran time. It's like some people value progress and results in different manners that have nothing to do with numbers as much as it has to do with just living life.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are starting to see that now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I still want to bench press 400 pounds by the time I'm 31.
I'm with you, brother.
Yeah, I still have those things in mind, but overwhelmingly, I don't necessarily have an aesthetic goal anymore. I don't have the desire to just be the young badass in the gym doing whatever. I got 2 kids now, and maybe we're gonna have more in the future. It's just I need to be dad more than I need to be cooped up because of a exercise injury, which I was very prone to back in the day in my competing days. So it's that's an obvious one for me.
Sure. The last thing, and this is we good on time. He's keeping me up to date.
Oh yeah, we're keeping track.
This is probably something you'll talk about as well. And I just feel like this is probably a pretty obvious one. But individuals just have no idea how to set goals. They don't have any idea how to set realistic goals. They just come in with I just want to lose weight. Yeah. And we've talked about this in a handful of podcasts. But what does that mean? Why is that important to you?
People get so tired of us saying what's your goal?
Right.
And they have no idea. And I said, that's your fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How can I help you? How can we help you? How can anybody help you if you don't have a goal?
Right.
And I get it. I used to hate goal setting. Like, it's just terrible. But now it's such a fundamental thing to help track progress. That's the other thing. You don't track progress, it's a problem. I should have put that down on my top 10. Tracking. Forgot about that. The top 5. Anyways, what else did you want to say on that before I cut you off rudely?
With the goal setting in mind, it just has to continue to evolve. I think we all fall. I've definitely been guilty of this. That when you either don't reach your goals or something in your life happens that can kind of like cause a shift. Let's say, a pandemic, COVID, whatever. You have to be able to pivot quickly. And so my challenge for everyone would be make a backup plan. Do everything you can for part A to work.
Make a backup plan for your backup plan.
Right. Like if something happens that part A isn't going to be the thing that you go after anymore because of whatever circumstance, figure out what you're going to do next. So the next day when you wake up, you already have your plan in place.
I had somebody tell me one time that they are spontaneous. They don't like committing to one thing. I said, well, spontaneous doesn't get you what you want. What you told me you want. You can't be spontaneous and just have FOMO and just run around and do it. Like, it doesn't work that way usually. But that's a really good one. So those are your 5.
That's it, man.
Kind of a quick recap of your 5.
Here's my challenge. I'll go through it. If you're an individual that's coming in and you aren't healthy or you're overweight or you're struggling with whatever specific thing, you have to identify what happened, what's caused that. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing, be able to understand that your body isn't something that you're necessarily going to fix just with exercise. You have to identify that root cause, work on that specific thing. Exercise can be something that can help it. It will help facilitate that aspect for you. And then the next thing was my third thing. Let me scroll up here real quick. Sorry. Just culturally, understanding that there's a space in that you might identify with that specific space of being a person or an individual that is just here for health, just here for prevention, and like it's okay to be there. Like once you reach there, it's not that you don't want to work hard. It's not that we don't want you to continue to set goals and to work for other things, but like at a certain point, like individuals,
you can just pull your foot off the gas.
Right. And then lastly, just set some goals. Go after some things. Have a backup plan.
All right, I like those 5. Let's get in my 5. My 5 are gonna be a little bit more mentality than they are actual habitual problems, like having doing certain things that are causing a problem. It's more or less what you're not doing.
He's going to hit you.
And that's fine because somebody had to hit me.
Right.
I really did. Like, I came out of college thinking that I had all this scientific information that was going to help me do things, and I was going to lead me to all the results in the world. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. Didn't turn me into this superhuman specimen until somebody got real with me and really had to fix me between the ears before I could really start to see what happened.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It's terrible. Like you want to talk about your pride being drugged 5 feet behind you as you're walking out, but like looking back, that was a pivotal point of me kind of quote unquote getting my crap together. So here's the first one, and a couple of these might sound a little bit counterintuitive because we're going to play off of each other here a little bit, but I've ran more large group style strength and conditioning classes. I do individualized PT sessions. I work nutritionally with people. These are the things that I find that are missing from the people that don't see the results that they're after. Okay, the first one is you don't work out hard enough. Now, this is probably the one that I really just didn't handle well when this conversation was had with me. You don't work out hard enough. What does that mean? It's very simple. It's more of a unveiling of my character than it did my ambitions because everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to do gangster shit, right? So everybody wants to be fit. Everybody wants to lose body fat. Maybe we're not even focusing on health. Maybe you are really trying to become the most mentally strong person in the world. There's a level of accessibility in your mind that you can get to, but you got to tune that thing out really hard. Sure. And you got to be okay with being uncomfortable. So like a lot of the things, as far as not working out hard enough, I think back to college where we were doing sets to failure, back squat, and really trying to focus on hypertrophy style training. And I would put the bar in the rack myself. Like, there's no way I could have got that last rep. That's not failure.
Right.
That's you stopping on a set, right? There were, plenty of times thinking back as far as, accessory stuff. You get through all your main lifts and, I'm kind of cutting it short on time. That was good enough. Cut it up. Like, all of those things over a period of weeks, then into a period of months, and into a period of years, make all the sense in the world as to why you are where you are.
Yep.
Okay. If you can't finish a round of work, okay, that is supposed to be required, there's a great chance you're not gonna finish 5 rounds of work that it's been asked.
Yep.
You don't work out hard enough. Okay. And when you get into the workout hard enough, that kind of puts a play on one of the other ones down the list here. As far as we're playing a calorie battle here. You're not demanding enough energy because you don't feel like it, or you think that's good enough. That's probably the one that I didn't put on here. You think what you did was good enough. It's not. It never will be. You always got to be chasing that tail. So, yeah, that one sounds a little personal attack, but that is you got to find somebody that's willing to have that conversation with you and be willing to lose the friendship over it so that can be had.
Right.
I've done it with a couple people.
Yeah.
Didn't go over well in the time, but man, let me tell you.
And
it's stuck.
Colton's talking to he's talking to that individual or the group of people that they've expressed this is the specific thing that they want. Mm-hmm. We work with a population here too where you could apply that same principle. Well, if you're sick and tired of being in pain, what are you doing at home about it?
Yeah, and it's not even that. You can take this as far as not even being a physical thing, like telling me that, I want to lose body fat. It could be, I'm going to be the best dad in the world.
Right.
Okay, are you going to cut corners? Yeah. You're going to cut corners on your workout? You're going to cut corners on your health?
Sure.
As to be a walking image of what your kids want to be? Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to allow that to happen. You hope you don't allow that to happen. So it's just one of those things that you don't work hard enough at what you're wanting to see accomplished. So maybe it doesn't even have to be work out. You just work hard enough. Okay? And you got to have that conversation with somebody. Mm-hmm. Okay? So with that being said, if you don't work out hard enough, there's a good chance that your progress that you get, okay, doesn't come in great quantities, okay? And people get very obsessive about that. Like, it's either large progress or no progress. Mm-hmm. And I will only be excited or happy or fulfilled if I have large accomplishments in my, duration of being in the fitness space. This is a huge mistake. Huge mistake. Everybody kind of gets the idea of the analogy of a snowball rolling down the hill and how it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's how wins work. Okay, and people here at Reclaim, they get really tired of us talking about wins. But man, let me tell you, when you have the worst,
who doesn't want to win?
When you have the worst stretch of luck for weeks, months, years, fighting injuries, always something, maybe your job just let you go or something like that. Like, in those moments, those little wins make all the difference.
Right.
They tell you whether or not you're still going or you just packed up shop and you're done.
Yep.
Okay? And I can guarantee you're not going to get what you want if you pack up shop. So I really discourage people to look at it in such a black and white perspective. Mm-hmm. I think you have to identify wins each day.
Yeah, that's huge.
I've heard somebody actually talk about doing that from a perspective of comparing yourself to your yesterday versus someone else's today. Okay, you can be better than yourself yesterday just by doing one little thing, and it could start with making the bed every day. It could start with making sure that you are setting a proper schedule. No time left unwasted as far as your schedule goes. Put sticky notes up in your mirror. Talk about the different accomplishments that you achieved. Like, those little things can really benefit you whenever 6 a.m. hits, 5 a.m. hits, alarm goes off, it's time to go to class. I'm going to roll over and shut that thing off. Okay? Sure. It develops into a mentality, and it develops into you just being more appreciative of the little things that continually go your way, rather than focusing on all the negative things that happen. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
There's so much negativity out there. We're willing to surround ourselves with it that we completely flush out all of the obvious positives that ever happen.
Yeah.
And so
That's a great point.
I think it takes away a lot of the gratitude that we have,
Sure.
especially for ourselves.
Well, like even like you know, and I know we've talked about it with individuals in here, but like, if we have a member who like is just really really struggling, and then they start to show a little bit of consistency, it's like, hey, we got to reach out to that person and affirm what they're doing, because right now they're making it a priority to get in here, and that's the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're, you know, you see the shift in people when they do that. They whatever the light bulb was. Maybe they had a couple good days at work. Maybe they just got a raise. That's it. That was the catalyst. We're going.
Yeah.
And that, you know, it can wear off, but you keep these little wins going and everything starts to pile up really good.
Right.
So that was number 2. Don't focus on large progress. Focus on little wins. People who only focus on large progress will be easily discouraged all the time. Okay, so the third one is going to be kind of contradictory to the very first one that I said. So the very first one was you don't work out hard enough. Okay, the third one here is going to be you work out too hard and you don't recover.
Yeah.
So this is annoying, and the wording that I use: you work out hard but don't recover.
If you've been in
hard.
a bathroom at Reclaim the last 3 or 4 weeks, you should have this kind of figured out by now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, especially for all the information that's hanging up in there. This kind of goes back to your whole exercise as a punishment thing that we talked about. That's kind of a cultural mindset. There's nothing that you're going to find if you Google how to lose body fat. There's nothing that's going to say anything about your recovery from exercise. There's always going to be you need to go exercise and you stay active, and there's a lot of truth to that. But you know, think of the person. We just talked about the different demographics that people are attracted to as far as exercise and programming go. The demographic that we're talking about, that just want to essentially be healthy. They want to be able to, you know, work their 410s, come home, put dinner on the table, put the kids to bed, wake up with the energy to do it again the next day, right? If that person ventures over into we're going to grind, it's going to be hard, you're going to die every day, it's going to be great. They can run into a lot of problems. Okay, right. Injury is one of them. Body fat retention is another. The higher body fat goes in relative to your body mass, a lot of correlative data that show that's what leads to disease, a lot of metabolic disease, right? So you can be doing all the right things, kinda. You can do all the right things as far as exercise go, but can still become unhealthier, or even worse, you can become, you know, even worse health. Is that the word I want to use? So you work out hard, but you don't recover hard. Okay. Probably one of the most fit people in our gym, and let me change my wording a little bit. He's very fit, don't get me wrong. One of the most hard-going people in our gym as far as doing exercises comes in 3 days a week. He says, you know what I learned? It's 3 days a week for this boy.
Right.
He says, I can recover just enough in between because I don't feel like I'm losing anything. I'm sure as heck not gaining any weight. He's in that kind of maintenance thing, but the dude improves on something every day.
Yeah.
And like sees it, like we see it. It's crazy.
Well, and it's just like the smallest little thing like that, especially when we're talking about exercise. Like if you can simply, and individuals just don't know until they go through it. Like once you recover better, wow, I feel stronger in my next workout. I can actually get stronger now, instead of thinking the opposite is, well, if I take this day or these 2 days away, I'm just going to go back to this, you know, blob of a mess or whatever, like whatever they play with their mind up here. So, yeah. Yeah.
So, and I think the big one, I think the light bulb for everybody is the first time that you get like a week of restful sleep. Like a week of restful sleep. I don't know if anybody out there has ever struggled with sleep, as far as, you know, falling asleep, staying asleep as being the big one. I think the first time that we really focus on recovery aspects and different programs and methodologies for recovery, when somebody's able to sleep, holy cow, that is like all the difference in the world for somebody. And then they're like, okay, yeah, I don't have FOMO from what they're doing over there anymore. I want some more of that, because that feels good.
Yeah.
So that was number 3. Number 3, you don't work out hard, but number 3, you work out hard, but you don't recover hard. There should be equal emphasis on how you work out versus how you recover. Okay, and a lot of scientific data to support, you know, all the good things that lead to health, having to start with sleep. Number 4, kind of obscure. Okay, but definitely one thing that I observe. Okay, you don't warm up well. Okay.
He's talking to me right now.
Yeah, I sometimes don't either. But there's something very important here to consider. I looked up the statistic, and I still don't know that it is accurate. but I've found it in 3 different places. It
I
seems
know
a little
you
high to
love
me.
statistics.
81% of people who fail to reach their primary goal do so because a backup plan was not in place due to an injury. That's basically saying that you're starting to work on the plan that you wanted, you got injured, and now
Right.
all went to hell.
And that's such an ironic thing because we've both been through injury. So when I have a a
way
member
too
come
many
to me
times.
and they're like, well, I have such and such going on with my arm, so I can't do. And I'm like, look, I've torn a tendon in this finger. I've completely dislocated the shoulder. We have several safety bars in here, and I know you can still squat.
Yeah. And that can go back to the you don't work out hard enough type thing as far as the mentality goes. Yeah, you can. There's plenty of ways, even with I had a guy who got a knee replacement. He was back in here 6 days later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's doing everything he can upper body wise. Mm-hmm. Like, regardless of what we're doing in class, he's doing upper body. Like, that's perfect. Exactly what he needs to do. He's like, I don't want to go backwards. I'm like, I'm cool with that. I'm down with that. I applaud you for that. But here's the thing. I think, nagging injuries always lead to bigger issues. Okay, if you have a nagging injury, you should listen to it. It's not because you're getting old. Okay, if you're squatting every week, it's not because you're getting old. Okay, it's because something is not recovered. Often it's not necessarily the site of the injury as much as it is above or below the injury. However, regardless, you're not recovered well.
Yep.
Okay, so that puts even more emphasis on your next warm-up. How do I get the body primed, so to speak, both neurologically and physiologically, to perform whatever it is we're going to do? Okay, and if you don't warm up, you're at risk of that. Okay,
Sure.
And the other things about not warming up is that you're not able to essentially access all of your possibility within that day from an energy standpoint. Like, the warming up is super important. Okay, we have to bring your body's basal temperature up a little bit. We got to make sure that all your muscles are primed and ready from an elastic standpoint. We need to make sure that your ligaments and your joints, everything is structurally ready for what we're getting ready to do. Our classes, all of our warm-ups change every day. They didn't used to. That's just us getting better as coaches. Every day they are a little bit more specific to what we're doing on the day, and that has helped tremendously with injury prevention, I believe. However, there are plenty of people that don't finish their warm-up.
Right.
And it's ironic that those people are still at the highest of the list of becoming injured.
Yeah.
Those people at the top of the list of becoming injured are also ironically not the people seeing results.
And that's a mic drop.
No, it is what it is. And I 100%, all of these things that I've come up with have been told to me.
Right.
Like, your warm-up is crap. I would always have hamstring, calf, and ankle issues playing football. And they watched me warm up for a week during physical warm-up. Your warm-up's terrible. He's like, you're talking, you're lackadaisical, you're doing all this stuff, and it's like, damn, okay, well, socializing's over.
Right.
And that's just you have to have that conversation.
Sure.
Who's going to have that conversation? You're not going to have that conversation with you. Somebody else has got to have it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of self-reflection that has to happen, but all of these things have been talked to me before, or told to me before, and they're all hard pills to swallow. Now, this last one wasn't necessarily one that I had to have a talk with. I just finally said, okay, this is my doing. Biggest mistake number 5, you do not count for calories in versus calories out. Okay, this is, and it's a perfect example here I got. When, we started Reclaim, it was looking at the demographic we had, asking ourselves what is the biggest issue that needs addressed, and then we start there.
Right.
The biggest issue we need to address is we need people to start figuring out how to eat for health.
For sure.
Okay. People were not healthy when they came in.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people who are fit. There was not health. Okay, and health without fitness. Fitness without health does not provide a ton of sustainability.
Yeah, it's just going to be very difficult to continue to progress.
Yeah. Very often you'll plateau, even move backwards, and have to start over from scratch in some cases.
And that's because we've been through this.
Yes, absolutely. So here's the thing when we talk about healthy foods. There are tons of healthy foods out there, and there's a lot of people in our facility that eat them very well. Very well. But guess what? It's still calories in versus calories out.
Sure.
And this is one of the biggest things. People don't track their food. People don't realize how many calories are in specific foods that they eat. I'm working with somebody right now where she eats great. By all accounts, she eats very, very well. Okay. Hardly ever is there any day where there's something that is a complete obvious red flag. But the bottom line is she does PT training. It's half hour long, 3 times a week. She's not burning enough calories for the amount of food that she's bringing in based on the goal that she wants.
Right.
So guess what? She had to pick 4 protein choices, white flesh, and I got to pick 4 vegetables. And that's what she gets to eat. That's it. Okay? It's not torture.
Right.
It's achieving a specific goal.
Sure.
There are people who look at not having the ability to choose a lot of food as such a restrictive thing. I look at it more as a freedom.
Right.
You have these choices and that's it. You don't have to worry about anything else because you know that's not on the list. It is relaxing your mind of having to make decisions.
Well, and that's just the bad marketing. Like, have it your way. Have it all. Have everything you need and want. That's great if that's what your goals are. But if you want this very specific thing, well, that's what we got to focus on. And my wife and I, we joke about it. But just because you made these paleo cupcake, brownie, crumble things or whatever, one of those
still
might be okay.
Has 750 calories.
But yeah, 6 of them, just because they're made with better ingredients, doesn't help you reach this specific body fat loss goal or whatever.
And so, what I'm getting at here, the biggest problem that people have is I'm starting to eat healthy. Okay, I had salmon, I had broccoli, I had this, I had that. It was great. And they named off 7 different things. I'm sitting there calculating in my head just because I'm pretty good at calculating most things anymore. I'm like, man, this is about 1,300 calorie meal. What's your BMR? Just thinking in my head, trying to figure out, that was, if you ate anything throughout the day, you're over.
Sure.
Guarantee. You can eat really well and still be in a surplus.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Some people are like, oh, it's so hard. Well, vegetarians have a hard time doing that. If you eat meat, you eat dairy, it's very easy. So you have to be very careful about how you go about that, okay? You need to track your food. You have to account for the calories in versus calories out. Calories out is a lot harder, okay? Because many of us use heart rate variability.
Or we think we work way too hard.
That's the thing. Okay, you're going off of your watch, your Apple Watch.
Yeah.
I have a Garmin. Okay, I have one. Some people have a. I can't even think of different brands off the top of my head. Regardless, you're watching your heart rate, and your heart rate does different algorithms. Tells you how many steps you did, how many floors you climbed, your rigorous activity and what is considered intense activity and your stress, and it comes up with a number and says this is how many calories you burned today. Very, 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 very inaccurate.
Right.
Okay. You want to know how many calories you burn? Go hop on an assault bike and burn 100 calories as fast as you can. You're going to die. It's only going to be 100 calories burned, and you're going to realize that Snickers bar is not worth it.
Yeah.
So you have to assume, when you're working out an hour, and I even told us to our class, look, we have an hour-long class, but realistically, how many minutes under tension or under stress are we actually under?
15?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay, you got to think about rest periods. You're stretching. You're thinking transition periods. You're moving from this to that, getting water. We spend more time not in stress than we do in stress.
Right.
Okay, there's a reason why if I told everybody to lunge for an hour, 60 minutes, that people would die after 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? We're not used to being under that much stress that often. Okay, but regardless, we got to figure out how many calories are we truly burning. Okay, and that can be difficult, especially for large group classes like us who change workouts every day.
Mm-hmm.
So general rule of thumb, if you're thinking about an hour large group strength and conditioning where you have some type of strength piece, some type of metabolic conditioning, or you're having some kind of HIIT training or intervals or something like that, you're probably going to be somewhere around the 175 to 200 calories, maybe. Mm-hmm. That's a maybe.
Yeah, okay? It's when you are faced with that information, you're like, whoa.
And here's the thing.
Because you've been told on the internet, well, that was a 700 calorie workout.
Yeah, right.
From Shaq.
Here's the thing. You're going to burn more calories if you have more muscle mass. That's why our methodology is put muscle on you. That's why we do strength training. By nature, cardiovascular work can be catabolic. I say can be. It can be done, obviously, very well. Cardiovascular work can be done metabolic. You burn more calories at the time of duration. You don't burn them longer throughout the day.
Right.
It's vice versa with strength conditioning. You don't burn as many calories during the workout, but you burn more calories at an increased elevation throughout the rest of the day. That's why we favor strength training. Okay, we're getting ready to start our strength camp, and I had somebody tell me, he's like, I can't lose any body fat during strength camp. I said, that's kind of ironic because the bulk majority of people who lose body fat happen during strength camp.
Yeah.
And we don't do any metabolic conditioning. Just a ton of accessory, ton of neuroendocrine Stimulation.
Oh, it's a fun time of the year. People are able to get more vitamin D. They're outside. They're hopefully less stressed. And yeah, we get jacked and tan.
Days are longer. That's right. So recap of my 5. Okay, the biggest mistakes that I see people make, not necessarily in here. I view from afar on social media, or I used to. Tune in 2 weeks from now to kind of hear that podcast. My 5. 1, you don't work out as hard as what your watch is telling you or what you think you're doing. You're good enough is not good enough, because you're good enough has led you to where you are, and you're still not happy with where you are. Right. That's just a talk you got to have with yourself, or you got to find somebody who's willing to put the friendship on the line to have that talk with you in effort to make you a better person. You can't focus only on large progress. You got to think of the little things. You got to figure out what your wins are. Okay, your wins will make a huge difference in times of trouble or tribulation. Okay,
that's great advice for everywhere in life. Not just fitness, everything financially. Like let's say could be stuff like you're trying to implement at home, like whatever it is. Like just have some encouragement day to day to have the confidence to move on to the next thing. If you just look at the doom and gloom, like you're just gonna sit in the corner and whine about it.
Yeah, you got to look up Jacob Peterson's rule on the biology of a lobster. That sounds like a very obscure reference. You go read that, and you'll understand what you're talking about. Serotonin levels.
Yeah.
Read the doom and gloom. Your shoulders are going to be slouched, and you're not going to have any serotonin. It's not going to make you feel happy. All right, moving on. You work out hard, but you don't recover hard. You have to put as much emphasis into your recovery and all your recovery systems to match the output of your intensity that you are doing during workouts. Mm-hmm. You just have to. If you want this to be a sustainable thing, it's great. If you want to crash and burn, and you tell me, hey, I got 30 pounds to lose in 30 days, I'm going to get you there, but it's going to hurt.
Right.
And there's a great chance it's going to come back with a vengeance when we're done. Right. But I'll get you there, okay? Number 4 was kind of a weird one, but hopefully it kind of opened up some people's eyes based on that statistic. You don't warm up well, okay? You have to warm up. You got to get all of your muscles moving. And you think about it this way. Every warm-up movement you do, especially if it is compound muscle movements, lunges, squats, push-ups, whatever, you're burning calories.
Right.
That's what you're here for, right? You're here to burn calories, trying to lose weight, right? That's who we're talking to. Mm-hmm. Okay? You got to warm up, because injury is the number one thing that prevents people from getting to the goal that they want, based on that 3 different statistics.
81%. That's what
I think it was like 84, 81, and 78.
Gotcha.
So I just took the middle one. And then the other one, the very last one, you got to account for calories in versus calories out. How many calories are you consuming versus how many are you burning? Because if you're in a caloric surplus, if you're bringing in or eating more calories than you're burning, you're going to gain weight.
Yeah.
If you are eating less than you are burning, you're burning more calories than you consume. Guess what? You're going to lose weight.
Sure.
Okay, if you want to lose body fat, you got to be in a caloric deficit. I don't care what anybody tells you.
Right.
So
that's just a very good thing, sorry to touch on that a little bit, for individuals to know as a self-practice. We should all have that skill. But also, I feel like another problem in here that we've just kind of identified as talking, a lot of times that men or women don't see the results that they're looking for, or especially talking about a spousal unit, they eat the same. Mm-hmm. If I ate like my wife, I would probably lose a lot of muscle mass and retain body fat. If my wife ate like me, unless her goal is to get huge, she's not be very happy.
Yeah, and this is another thing that you just don't see. And here's the thing. I don't believe that the only thing you can do is look at calories. You can't. I don't believe that the only thing you can look at is macros. You can't. I don't believe that the only thing you can look at is paleo or zone or keto. Or I don't think you can do that. And I've learned that you can't do that. Okay, it has to be an individualized approach. Now that can be terrible for family dieting. Right. You know what I mean? If you have a family of 5, you have 3 kids, and mommy and daddy, you're trying to get all 5 of us to lose weight. That could be pretty complicated. But mom and dad generally, even my wife and I, we are 2 totally different body types. She was an All-American setter in college. I was a catcher. I was a running back. You can tell the dynamically difference here. I'm short, stocky, brick crap house, like they used to say, and she was the tall, lanky, broad shoulders. I'd make a really funny joke, but she'd probably kill me. The thing is, we are 2 totally different people, and we eat 2 totally different ways. But we eat the same food.
Right.
A lot of it is in different amounts, and that'd probably be a good podcast for another day too. So, those were my 5. I think your 5 were equally as eye-opening.
Sure.
Because it's more of a cultural thing. Mine is just a little bit more mindset, not necessarily what you're doing, but what you are not doing. And a lot of time that's what it comes to. Everybody goes into trying to lose weight with the best intentions. So I'm going to do all of these things. So it's not necessarily you're doing something that's preventing you from having. There's still one thing that you're not doing, or the one thing you're neglecting, the one thing that you don't see as beneficial. Take warm-ups, for example, and I'm here to work out. You know what I mean? Like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of insurance. Warm-up is an insurance policy.
Like, what we do isn't, I'm not trying to tone down what we do by any means, but like when individuals come in to reclaim, we really try to make it so easy for people to see results because we have covered so many different
nowadays
things.
We do. We've made it plenty difficult in the past.
Right. But like a lot of times individuals, they'll overcomplicate things for themselves because they just get this very vague information out there, and they're like, well, I've come in here and I'm gonna move a little bit more and I'm gonna see my results, because a lot of companies, unfortunately, they want you to continue on in that process or figure it out with them.
Right.
But
so that was a pretty good little episode. I think that one turned out pretty good because like I said, I thought I knew everything when I got out of college, had all the information, all the science, everything from different people, the different diversity of education. It didn't matter. A lot of it came down to that talk that I had to have. Unfortunately, it wasn't with myself; it was with somebody else. But I'm thankful that person had that talk with me because it made all the difference in the world. So
cool.
There's definitely something that everybody needs to know about. Okay, all 5 of those, or 10. You got 10, you got 5, and I got 5. So. Next episode, we can kind of tease this a little bit. Is definitely one that if there was one that I wanted to encourage everybody to tell your cousins and aunts and friends to listen to, it's going to be next week. And it's not going to be an earth-shattering type of scientific literature and talking about all these studies and everything. It's going to be about social media and essentially why we believe you should delete all of it right now.
Yeah.
Essentially why we deleted ours. We're going to cover it. We're going to talk about why.
Sure.
And how it has so far made us a better business.
Just more focused.
Made us a healthier individual in the business. And it's pretty eye-opening. So we'll reference some stuff maybe you guys have seen or heard about, but we're going to do a lot of encouraging here in the next episode that comes out, so definitely stay tuned for that. So got anything you want to add before we wrap it up?
Not a lot. Yeah, that'll be a good one to tune into. Kind of set the tone and the script going forward.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Write down your wins. If there's anything you learned, write down your wins.
Boom.
We'll catch you guys later. This is the Silver Bowl Podcast.